Open enrollment doesn't exactly make anyone's top 10 list of exciting life events, but the decisions we make during this short window can have a major impact on our finances, our health, and definitely our peace of mind. If you've ever stared at an HR email or benefits portal thinking, I'll deal with that later, then this episode is for you. And if you're someone who's self-employed or runs a business where you provide benefits, there's something in here for you too. This is the Grown-Ass Woman's Guide. I'm Jackie McDougall. Amy Evans has spent more than 2 decades helping people understand and actually use their benefits. Today, she helps us uncover the hidden perks that can save us thousands and the simple things we can do to make open enrollment a little less painful and a lot more profitable. A recent AARP survey of people aged 50 and older revealed that 24% of older workers are planning to make a job change. But when seeking new employment, salary isn't the only thing we should consider. When someone is looking for a job, or maybe they're an employee, how important are the benefits to the overall salary? We're always looking at how much money I make, but not really necessarily the benefits. How important are they?
I'm going to give you the best statistic I know to nail this question. My benefit package at my company is worth about $24,000 of income to me on an annual basis. That's a huge number in relation to my overall compensation. So to your point, when you're looking at the numbers in terms of hourly income or salary for the year, I think factoring in the value of the benefits is huge because it can be a large part of an overall compensation package.
Absolutely. And so where in the job search, interviewing, job offer, where in that whole journey should someone be like, I need to know what the benefits look like?
Navigating that conversation can be interesting. It is certainly reasonable for a prospective candidate to say, benefits are really important to me, and I would like to see what is included in your benefits package, because that will be a factor in my decision. But an employer is not obligated to provide that, and that might be a challenging thing for a prospective employee to navigate. So you may not have all the information until you're hired and you're going through the onboarding process and going through the process of selecting your benefits. And then always with an asterisk that can change at any point. Just because an employer has a pretty little sheet that describes what they're offering right now, they might be going through the renewal process, as many of my clients are doing right now in the fall to prepare for open enrollment for January. And so everything can change. The carriers can change, the plans can change, the rates can change, the contributions can change on an annual basis. So it's a difficult thing to pin down, but it's worth asking to see what's being made available.
Right. Okay. So this brings up a question that I never even considered. If I am a single woman or I am a mom of 12 children, does the cost for the company change based on my family status?
The cost for the company changes based on how many people you're choosing to enroll. You may have 12 children, you're not necessarily enrolling all 12 children. Okay. You may have a spouse, you're not necessarily enrolling your spouse. I'm based in California, and in California, employers who have under 100 employees have insurance rates that are based on each individual employee's age and the age of each of their dependents, which makes things really complicated. So you might be talking about an employee who is 45. Their spouse might be 20 years older than them. And so that premium for the spouse is going to be a lot higher. You might, when you're talking about 12 children, be talking about a whole bunch of children that are all in their late teens or early 20s, still eligible as dependents, but treated as adults in terms of rating, versus very tiny children who will still have premium, but the premium will be a lot lower. So it's very layered.
Do you think this has anything to do with how difficult it is for, let's say, a woman over 40, woman over 50 to get a job, that sometimes it's not just the job itself, but the cost of the benefits that go with that job?
That's You ask really interesting questions. So I mentioned I'm in California. So for employers with less than 100 employees, the rates are determined by each individual person's age, including spouse and dependents. Over 100 employees, it's generally community rating where employee only is one rate, regardless of age. Employee plus spouse is one rate, regardless of age. Employee plus family is one rate, regardless of the number of children. When you ask if it's harder for women to be employed when they're older, it would be very difficult to find a statistic because that would be age discrimination. And
Correct.
Most employers, even if they're engaged in that, are avoiding doing anything that looks like that. Have I had conversations with employers under 100 who have jokingly or maybe not so jokingly said, I guess we better hire a bunch of young people because if we hire older people, it's going to cost us more. Yeah, I've absolutely heard employers express that. It doesn't matter if the person is male or female. It used to be that rates for health insurance were gender-based, and they are no longer. So whether the person is male or female doesn't matter, but is the employer going to pay about 3 times as much for a 60-year-old than they would for a 20-year-old? Yes.
Of course, none of us have ever experienced age discrimination, but just in case, maybe keep your age, your spouse's age, or, the gaggle of kids you have at home, keep that to yourself while interviewing for a job. Let's move on and talk benefits. We think about health insurance and 401k, but what about those hidden gems, those potential benefits available that either come free or cost just a few bucks per paycheck that we totally overlook?
One that has become more and more popular in the last few years, particularly during and right after COVID, was the Employee Assistance Program, or EAP. The way I like to describe it during open enrollment meetings is it's like mental health urgent care. So if you think about your health insurance plan, all health insurance plans provide coverage for mental health services like any other doctor visit. So whether you're going to a general practitioner or an OBGYN or a therapist, you're going to pay the same office visit copay for any of those visits. So you have mental health coverage under a health insurance plan. But what you don't have is urgent care for mental health under a health insurance plan. So if something unexpected were to happen, let's use the example of a parent dying suddenly, and an employee really wants support from a mental health provider to talk through that, maybe even over a weekend, something immediate. Calling your health insurance plan or going online and finding an in-network therapist and calling them and scheduling an appointment, that might take weeks and sometimes even months. So an employee assistance program is going to provide that mental health support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The employee calls an 800 number. It's no cost to them. They typically get up to 3 visits per incident, with no limit to the number of incidents. So it can be the death of a parent in January. It can be the loss of a spouse's job in March. It can be a sick child in September. And the employee totally confidentially can speak to a mental health professional, get that immediate support, and then transition to coverage through their medical insurance when they've exhausted those 3 visits per incident. And since mental health has come more in the forefront of conversation in the last few years, the employee assistance programs have become more and more of a topic of conversation.
So how do we get EAP benefits? Sometimes it's right through our health insurance company, and the number of sessions available to you might vary. But other times, the benefits might come from a more unexpected place.
A lot of times I see them through the same provider that's offering like the vision and the dental insurance. And often they're thrown in at no cost to the employer. So if you have, say, vision and life and dental insurance with a carrier like Guardian, for example, Guardian will provide their employee assistance program for free to the employer. So it's free to the employer and free to the employees. It is an absolute no-brainer.
So what are some other wellness perks we should be paying attention to?
Gym memberships, Pelotons. A lot of insurance carriers are partnering with apps like Headspace and Calm so that you can put those on your phone, no cost to you, and have sleep stories and meditations and walking exercises and all kinds of amazing calorie trackers, all kinds of things that insurance companies are now partnering with to make those available for their members. And that means it's no cost to the employee to access those services.
Let's dive deeper into our grown-assery. Did you know that you could potentially create a living trust or will for a reduced price or even free right through your company benefits?
Let's talk about will prep. So if an employer is offering even basic life insurance, and when I say basic, it's kind of how we refer to it in the industry, but generally means employer paid life insurance. And some employers will provide $10,000 or $25,000 or $50,000 of term life insurance for employees while they're employed at the job. And while it doesn't feel great to say, that's burial expense money for the family. So if someone's employed at a job and they die for some reason during their employment, on the job or off the job, then this is a policy that's going to pay the family and help to cover those expenses. And it's very affordable for employers to offer this benefit. It's usually pennies per month to cover all their employees. So I have a lot of employers who provide that. A lot of carriers, insurance companies, will add some bells and whistles to that life insurance. And one of those is will prep services. And kind of similar to the EAP, it's an add-on. It usually has a separate flyer. It probably has a separate provider. So if your life insurance is through Principal, for example, it's not Principal providing the will prep. Principal's contracted with an outsourced party who's providing those services. But lots of people don't have wills. Lots of people don't have estate plans. And if your employer has a benefit that's providing it for low cost or no cost, that's a great benefit to take advantage of.
Absolutely. So I never realized it was connected to, or maybe it's not always connected to, the life insurance. But the reason for this episode is because my husband, who's been working for this big company for 10 years, we put a few dollars, literally a few dollars per paycheck into this like legal protection,
yes,
which we haven't historically needed. And one day when I was looking to do a trust and I went on this website, I'm like, I know we pay something for legal, like completely clueless. And it was like, oh, the trust is free. Mm-hmm. And so we put our house and all of those things in a trust. We paid $875 recording fees, LA County or whatever, whoever that was for. But not only did we get the trust, we got a trust for all three of our kids who are all now adults. So they may not have anything to put in their trust, but it's set up so that when they move into adulthood and they don't have to create this. So this is like $14,000 in legal services that we've gotten for, I don't know, $3 a paycheck.
You mentioned a couple things that are super important. An additional benefit that an employer can offer is legal services like you're talking about. So this is typically something that the employee would pay for through a payroll deduction and have access to a national network of attorneys to handle not a big criminal law case, but to handle kind of everyday legal needs. Wills and trusts is a great example. Getting ripped off and needing a strongly worded letter written to somebody to refund your money or replace your product.
Even buying and selling a house.
Buying and selling a house, having somebody review a contract for you to give you
adoption
their opinion.
Stuff. I think some of that is in there, and other family.
Absolutely. So legal services are a great add-on benefit. There's also usually spoken about kind of in the same breath are identity theft services. And sometimes those are all packaged together, or they could be two separate choices. But the idea that your information is not out there being abused is just silly now. Like, our information's out there. Everything's getting hacked. It just is. And so really, you can't prevent that from happening. You need to know when something is misused, when somebody opens a credit card in your name, when somebody opens a loan in your name, like you need to know that information right away. Identity theft services is another really great benefit. The sale to the employer is the amount of time that it takes for an employee to deal with an identity theft issue when they have to do it during work time because they're calling businesses to untangle things. It can be a huge drain on an employee's time and attention. And so providing them with a service that can help to do a lot of that heavy lifting for them, super valuable.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So you mentioned something when you were talking about learning about these will and trust services. You said you went on the legal services website. And I really want to encourage people to be active consumers with their insurance and their benefits and be familiar with all of the perks that are included with insurance policies that are already in place. And the best way to do that is register for all the insurance carrier websites. If you're with Anthem for health insurance, register on the Anthem member website and put the app on your phone. If you've got Guardian for dental, register on the Guardian website. If you've got VSP for vision, register on the Vision website. If you've got legal services, register on their website, put the app on your phone, and then pay attention when they send an email and go, hey, we want to let you know we just added some new services to our offerings. I have seen discounts on Pelotons, discounts on gym memberships, buy-in programs with things like cars and package vacations where you can get a discount just because it's being offered through an insurance policy your employer already has. Things like the legal services, identity theft, pet insurance.
As we get older, our eyes change. So having vision insurance is a good thing. But what about dental? Oh, what about dental? Dental, I feel, is the biggest scam that I've ever.
I love you for saying that.
I have never experienced anything in my life where you pay into it monthly and then they're like, you had a cleaning twice this year, all done.
I totally feel you. And I tell small employers who are offering benefits for the first time that there really isn't a need to pay for dental insurance for your employees. If I wasn't working for a large employer that provided it and subsidized the cost, I wouldn't pay for it myself either. We would do what we refer to in the insurance industry as self-funding, meaning I'm just going to find a dentist I like and I'm going to work out a cash payment program and I'm going to pay them directly when I need services. The reason dental insurance feels like a scam, I hope my dental partners don't hate me for this, but it's a very different type of insurance than medical insurance. So with medical insurance, the most important number to me in a medical insurance policy is the out-of-pocket maximum. The out-of-pocket maximum says when you as the employee or as the insured pay out of your pocket this dollar amount in a calendar year, you are done paying for the year and we're going to cover everything past that number 100%. So even if an out-of-pocket maximum is $10,000, $10,000 as a portion of what could be a catastrophic medical event is a relatively small number. So the out-of-pocket maximum is your protection as an insured. Dental insurance works the complete opposite. So rather than having an out-of-pocket maximum on dental insurance, you have an allowance of money from the dental provider. Let's say it's $1,500, which is a pretty common amount. I see plans between $1,000 and $3,000 for a calendar year. So you have that amount of money to spend on your dental care. That doesn't count your co-payments or your co-insurance. That's just the insurer's money that you're spending. So if the insurer is covering 50% of the cost of a crown and you're paying 50% of the cost of the crown, the 50% the insurer is paying comes from that allowance. Once that allowance is exhausted in a year, they're done with you. They're done. You don't get any more benefit from your dental plan. And so that number, the annual allowance number, to me is the most important number in a dental insurance plan because that's the most money I have to spend. And a lot of times if you take the premium you're paying for the plan and multiply it by 12 and look at the allowance you're getting from the plan, they're pretty close together.
Interesting.
And so why would you pay $1,500 to have access to $1,500?
When you can actually get a better rate from the dentist if you're paying out of pocket.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, you just blew my mind and opened my mind. So what are some perks we might not know about that Amy believes to be the unsung heroes of the benefits world?
My favorite, and one I think is terribly underused, is something called health advocacy. And think of it as a team of people who are the go-betweens between an employee who's had a health issue and the insurance companies. Health advocates will help an employee find a provider that's in network. They will, most importantly, where I've seen them be most effective, help an employee sort through medical bills and even negotiate medical bills.
Wow.
And that can be an awesome task if someone has had a major health issue. So I've seen the back end of health insurance claims. And when somebody has something, crazy unexpected, let's say a serious car accident where they're airlifted and they're in ICU and then they're moved to a different hospital and they have to have surgery and then they have to have therapy and they go from ICU to a regular hospital bed, and the amount of paperwork that's generated from an experience like that, nobody can understand what's going on there. Nobody can sort through all of that. It's craziness. It can also take years for all of that stuff to get processed and cleaned up, literally years. And so having a health advocate assist an employee in sorting all of that out can be a huge, huge relief, a huge time saver. It can help the employee stay focused on work. I mean, we're always talking about the employers doing things in their best interest, but help the employee focus on work. And I am surprised that more companies don't provide that as a benefit. It's not something the carriers provide. I've never seen it as an add-on to anything else. It's really something you have to proactively go and contract with a service to do. And there's usually a per employee per month charge for that. But it is just an awesome benefit, and I wish more people used it. Teladoc is another great example. Teladoc is an independent service. A lot of insurers contract with them to provide telehealth services. So the ability to call and talk to a doctor, video chat with them. It's so convenient. You can usually get an appointment with a doctor within 5 or 10 minutes, and they can diagnose, they can refer, and a lot of times they can prescribe. When I've had bronchitis, I can just have a 5-minute conversation with a Teladoc doctor and they can prescribe the albuterol inhaler that I need. Register in advance, because if you actually need something, going through the whole process of like, what's your health history and what insurance do you have and what prescriptions are you taking? Get all of that set up so that when you need to use the service, they've already got the information and they know who you are.
That's a great tip. And I have another pro tip to add. If you're in a partnership, your spouse or partner might be the person who gets the insurance. I'm not talking about you, honey, but he may or may not check his email or, read about some of these things. So go in and change the email to the person who can make some of these decisions. I'm just saying that might be helpful.
With you. I agree with you. And that is not unusual that there's one person in the partnership who handles those things or speaks that language better. And yes, absolutely. I mean, even the smartest people tend to zone out when it's an open enrollment meeting. And it's just, nobody wants to think about any of this stuff when they don't need it.
And
it's a
so
lot
boring.
of information. It's so boring.
That's why, I want to talk about all the boring topics, because there is something so exhilarating, and I'm so weird, I know, but it's so exhilarating when you understand some of these grown-ass topics and you can make choices based on this understanding. Like, it can save you time, money, effort, stress, all of it. And so I just really appreciate you coming on and just simplifying it for us.
It is absolutely impossible for me or for anyone's employer to communicate all of this stuff to employees all at one time. We usually get one shot at open enrollment. Now, a lot of employers don't even do open enrollment meetings. They use an online enrollment portal. They send employees through. And no matter how many add-on flyers I put into the helpful resources of the online enrollment portal, people don't read them. They don't look. They just want to get done making their elections and get on to the next thing. But there's so much being offered that taking a minute like you did on the legal services website to learn a little bit about what else was available can be super eye-opening. And obviously different things resonate with different people, but the carrier's website, the carrier's app, and then if there's an enrollment portal, if there's an online experience for making your benefit elections, that's usually going to have a lot of this information too.
Awesome. I'm the nerd who will watch the automated video every year, and they're
Yay,
like,
we love you.
I've learned so much today, and I hope you have too. But if you leave here with anything, it's this. Take every benefit that is available to you and check your benefits annually. Because not only do they change, but so does your life and what you value.
Things have changed a lot. I've been in this business for 23 years, and it is very different than it used to be. Lots more things are included. And you're right. If when you signed up for your benefit program initially, you weren't taking any prescriptions, then maybe you didn't pay attention when your insurance carrier said, we have a mail order prescription program and you can get 3 months of prescriptions for the price of 2. That might not have been important to you 10 years ago, but maybe you're a little older now and maybe you are on a monthly maintenance prescription, and saving a copay might be worthwhile, and it's easy to do if you just fill out a form.
Right.
Even if there's a benefit that you don't think you're going to use, take all of it, register for all of it, sign up for all of the things that your employer is providing for you so that you're getting the emails, because the email communication is what tells you how to use stuff. So you might not be able to wrap your head around all the ways that you could use a legal service or an identity theft service or a health advocacy service. If nothing's going on for you right now, how would you even know how to apply it? But if you're getting those emails and they go, hey, here's a case study of someone who just used our service, then you're going to have a sense of how this can be used. The other advantage is if you've created a username and a password, if you have the app on your phone, if they already know who you are, it's going to be a lot easier to use it when you do need to use it.
I love that, because that's the whole point, right? It's not about knowing every detail of how things are going to go, but it's about setting ourselves up for success when things do happen, because they will. So thank you so much to Amy. Before you leave, put it on the calendar, take 5 minutes at a time, register for your benefits, download the apps you need, and also, most importantly, grab the free Grown-Ass Woman's Guide to Open Enrollment at grownasswoman.guide/benefits. Because understanding this stuff, it's not boring, it's grown-ass. I'm Jackie McDougall, and this is the Grown-Ass Woman's Guide.